Ready, set, go. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz is in, kicking off the official start of the 2016 presidential race. This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Shannon Bream in for Brett Baer. He holds degrees from Princeton and Harvard Law, but today Senator Cruz was at the conservative Liberty University with a major announcement. He is running for president. We have extensive coverage of Cruz in 2016 tonight. In just a moment, our presidential contenders series continues with a Cruz profile and interview. But first, here's Chief Political Correspondent Carl Cameron from Liberty University on how today's big announcement impacts the 2016 race.
I believe in the power of millions of courageous conservatives rising up to reignite the promise of America. And that is why today I am announcing that I'm running for President of the United States.
Hoping to set the pace in the 2016 GOP presidential race, firebrand Tea Party darling and freshman U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas became the first officially launched presidential candidate at the morning convocation of 10,000 students at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. It's the largest Christian college in the world, and it came on the 5-year anniversary of Obamacare.
Liberty University went to court filing a lawsuit to stop that failed law. Imagine in 2017, a new president signing legislation repealing every word of Obamacare.
Declaring his candidacy first, with Liberty University as a backdrop, was meant to grab conservative attention for Cruz. 2 weeks before, both freshman senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Marco Rubio of Florida planned their announcements. Cruz trails in the single digits in polls of early voting states and nationally. He's behind the likes of Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, who hopes to raise $100 million before the primaries. Cruz hopes to raise only half that. His politics? Full-spectrum conservative. His strategy? Hit the road early and hard and let no GOP rival get to his right, thus positioning himself as a more ardent conservative alternative to Bush and Walker. No mention of his rivals today, but he doesn't pull his punches on the trail.
Every one of them will say, "You betcha, who diddly, I am as conservative as all get out." But we have a way to tell the difference.
To hear Walker tell it, voters aren't interested in the senator and anyone associated with Washington.
They tell me they want someone with big, bold ideas from outside of Washington.
On this, Cruz's first day officially as a candidate, his likely rivals kept it mostly cordial. But in the audience, there were a few Stand With Rand t-shirts. They stood out and shows that here at Liberty University and across the country, the race is underway, Shannon.
It sure is. All right, Carl Cameron, live at my favorite university, Liberty University. Thanks, Carl. All right, let's dig a little deeper now into exactly who Cruz is and how he wants to change Washington. Tonight, we continue our series, Presidential Contenders 2016, with an in-depth look at Ted Cruz. Here's my colleague, Brett Baer.
We will get back and restore that shining city on a hill that is the United States of America.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz is officially in the 2016 field. I talked to him in recent days about why.
I think there is a frustration with Washington that is greater than anything we've ever seen. And I think in 2016, voters are going to be looking at candidates to say, will you tell me the truth, and will you do what you said you would do?
Cruz has already been busy tapping into that frustration with Washington at Politics and Ags in New Hampshire, at the Iowa Ag Summit, and in the crucial swing state of Florida. And what he sees so far encourages him.
I'll tell you, the support and encouragement we're receiving has really been breathtaking. We are seeing very considerable offers of financial support.
He's really running against Washington because inside Washington, he's not described as someone who plays well with others, even inside his party.
It's an old adage in Washington, never take a hostage you're not prepared to shoot. There are some on Capitol Hill, Senator, who say, every hostage you take, you're going to shoot. What do you say in response to that?
Well, look, there's some on Capitol Hill who throw all sorts of insults. What I'll say is something very simple. The message that I am urging my colleagues is let's honor the commitments we made. Let's actually do what we said we would do. And let's answer questions in March the same way we would have answered them in October before the election.
Is there any issue you can think of that you could get the GOP leadership to fight alongside with you?
I very much hope so. You know, we had an election in November that was an overwhelming election. Now, I don't think it was an embrace of Republicans. It was a rejection of the path we're on. It was a rejection of the Obama economy. It was a rejection of Obamacare. It was a rejection of the failures of the Obama-Clinton foreign policy. And it was the American people saying, we want a new path. I hope Republicans stand together, unified, with a big, bold, positive agenda that we take up and pass positive pro-growth legislation, one after the other, and we put them on President Obama's desk.
The political question is, can he fire up enough of the grassroots to overtake the establishment concerns about him?
He's certainly positioning himself as the candidate of the Tea Party, of more of the conservative right.
He's smart, he's articulate, he's ambitious, and he's oozing with self-confidence. The establishment will certainly see him as a problem in a general election, and as someone who can really divide the party. So I think Ted Cruz certainly sees himself as president someday, one day, maybe sooner than later. But he needs to broaden his appeal.
Cruz began his own Washington story as a clerk for Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist, and later as a domestic policy advisor for George W. Bush's 2000 campaign.
Was he a good president?
I think George W. Bush is a very good man. I think he loves his country. I think he did many good things. I disagree with some of the policies that he implemented. I think, hands down, the best part of his campaign, for me at least, was I met my wife.
After returning to Texas, he served as Texas Solicitor General, a job which took him back to Washington to argue in front of the U.S. Supreme Court 9 times. Cruz then ran for the U.S. Senate in 2012 with overwhelming support from Tea Party activists.
We want strong conservatives and fighters. That's what this race is about.
He soon became one of the most vocal critics of the Obama administration.
It's tragic how far we've come from hope and change.
I will do everything necessary and anything possible to defund Obamacare.
Cruz followed up on that threat in a 2013 filibuster.
I intend to speak in support of defunding Obamacare until I am no longer able to stand.
The effort, though, was futile legislatively. But he did get some other attention from his 2 daughters for his musings on the Senate floor.
I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam I am. And I want to say to Caroline and Catherine, my angels, I love you with all my heart.
When I came home, Caroline greeted me. She had her arms crossed. She looked at me and she said, "Okay, Daddy." That was kind of cool. I have to admit, it was nice to earn brownie points with my then kindergarten daughter for reading Green Eggs and Ham.
Maybe she can talk to Mitch McConnell. Lightning round, real quick. Taxes. You're president. What do you do?
Tax reform is critical. We need to simplify the tax code. Ideally, we should abolish the IRS. We should move to a simple flat tax where every American can fill out his or her taxes on a postcard.
Immigration?
The most pressing issue is securing the border. But I think the American people are not interested in the Popeye offer again. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. The American people want to see we can secure the border first. And if we also improve and streamline legal immigration, that goes a long way to solving the problem by reducing the demand for illegal immigration at the same time.
Cruz was one of 47 senators who recently signed a controversial letter to Iran's leaders, warning them against a nuclear deal with President Obama.
How does a President Cruz prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon?
You start with sanctions. When you're dealing with brutal tyrants, you need more stick and less carrot. And part of the problem is the Obama administration does not seem to understand the nature of who they are dealing with. If Iran ever acquires nuclear weapons, I think the odds are unacceptably high that they would use those weapons either in the skies of Tel Aviv or New York or Los Angeles, and we need a commander-in-chief who understands that peril and who will act resolutely to prevent it.
While we're on foreign policy, do you have a clearly defined strategy to tackle ISIS? Would you use the term destroy or degrade when talking about ISIS and the fight?
The objective should be simple: to destroy ISIS. To take them out, not to weaken or degrade them, to destroy them. They are the face of evil.
But does your strategy, as you envision it, include U.S. troops getting involved on the ground?
Look, we should do whatever is necessary. It's interesting. The question of boots on the ground is sometimes treated as an almost as a political issue. I don't think we should answer this as a political question. We should answer it as a military question. So the question should be, what is required to destroy ISIS? Whatever that is, we should do it.
Cruz is continuing a busy schedule of bouncing between early, primary, and caucus states, making his pitch. His speech at Liberty University essentially laid out his plan.
Today, roughly half of born-again Christians aren't voting. They're staying home. Imagine instead millions of people of faith all across America coming out to the polls and voting our values.
It's a long haul.
It is a long haul. But I'll tell you, I feel blessed. I mean, Brett, every day I jump out of bed, thrilled, because I think our country is in crisis. And I feel so blessed every morning to have the chance to be in the arena, to have the chance to be fighting to bring back the free market principles and constitutional liberties our country was founded on.
And that was Brett Baer with another installment of our 2016 Presidential Contenders series. Up next, Congress reminds President Obama of its importance regarding any possible Iranian nuclear deal. But first, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 8 in New Orleans, where millionaire Robert Durst was denied bond at a court appearance today on weapons charges. He's accused of killing a female friend in California 15 years ago. Jail officials say he is a suicide risk. WRAZ in Raleigh, North Carolina, with the investigation into a deadly scaffolding collapse this morning. 3 construction workers were killed and a 4th seriously hurt when the scaffolding they were using broke loose from a high-rise under construction in the city's downtown, landing in a parking lot several stories below. And this is a live look at Phoenix from KSAZ. The big story there tonight is a guilty plea to sexual assault charges in Arizona from former NFL player Darren Sharper. The former All-Pro safety was then sentenced to 9 years in federal prison. He also pleaded no contest in L.A. to drugging and raping 2 women. Sharper also faces charges in Louisiana and Nevada. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.